When I'm having discussions with patients, we're not only talking about the goals of the treatment with an injectable, but I'm teaching them how to be a good consumer. I love teaching patients about how to be good consumers when it comes to using these injectable agents, because these injectable agents have become our way of life. People regularly are having Dysport or Botox injections, they're having dermal filler injections, and I love teaching them about, well, how do you be a good consumer? How do you get the most bang for the buck? When it comes to Botox and Dysport, one of the key things is to re-inject before the results of the last treatment have fully gone away. With that, we're able to increase the longevity of the next treatment, and once we get the longevity where we want, we can slowly start to decrease the amount of Botox and Dysport we're using, and that's being a good consumer. A patient should always seek a provider where the cost is determined by what you use. There are still a lot of providers that are charging per area. Well, the forehead, for example, is an area that we just don't use much Botox or Dysport. So if you're being charged per area, that may not be in your best interest. With respect to dermal fillers, it's really super critical to understand which filler is being used. After 2 decades of injecting dermal fillers and hundreds of thousands of injectable treatments, I can truly say I'm an expert here. And why is that important? It's important because the technique is something that evolves over time. It really is an art. And secondly, because of the experience, I'm using all the available fillers, whether it's Restylane or Juvederm or Voluma or Sculpture or Bellatero or Restylane Silk, and it just goes on and on and on. So what's the advantage of using all these dermal fillers? Well, number one, there are specific indications for each of them. For example, Bellatero and Restylane Silk are terrific at injecting a fine line. If I tried to use a bulkier filler, I wouldn't have as good a result and potentially could have a complication. If I'm trying to inflate an area that has lost its volume, such as a cheek that happens with weight loss, well, I want to use a volumizer like Voluma or Restylane Lift. If I'm trying to stimulate collagen from a filler, I'm typically going to use Radius or Sculpture. So each of these different fillers has a unique application. And very often we're using these in combination. I may be building the volume underneath with a structural building filler and then treating the surface lines or crinkles with a very, very light filler like Bellatero or Restylane Silk. So this is truly an art, and it's something that takes years and years of experience to master. When you use these fillers properly, the end result is a natural looking result and one with longevity. And it's super critical as a consumer to know which fillers are being used. If someone tried to use a line filler to volumize the face, they require 3, 4, 5, or 10 times as much filler as if you use the proper filler in the first place. Unfortunately, many practitioners dabble in this field. They really don't have lots of experience, so they limit their choice of fillers to 1 or maybe 2. And this is never in the patient's best interest. Patients are really excited about all the new developments with dermal fillers. When they come in, they'll ask, well, what's new? The latest class of fillers, what we call non-cohesive fillers, like Restylane, Refine, and Define, are terrific for areas of repetitive motion, such as the lower face. With animation, we create different kinds of wrinkles and changes in our skin that respond much better to this new class of fillers. And not only does this new class of filler last longer in these repetitive motion areas, it's more natural appearing. So the use of these dermal fillers is truly an art. We may be using one of these fillers, we may be combining different ones and using synergy where 1 + 1 is 3 to achieve the most natural and long-lasting outcome. When we talk about being a good consumer with respect to injectables, another example is patients might come in and I'll look at how much Botox or Dysport they've used in the past. And it really is just too much. As we start to bring down the amount of Botox or Dysport in certain areas, they may actually feel like they're getting a better result. And at times, it's not a muscle issue, it's really a skin or volume issue in the face. So the use of dermal fillers or lasers is really more indicated. So injectables are terrific, but it's not the only answer to a problem. Patients will come in with sun damage, for example, and expect Botox to be the only answer. And it really isn't. We'd rather use less Botox and integrate other technologies like resurfacing lasers or even proper topical agents to improve the quality of skin, and use Botox merely as an adjunct. It's really important as a good consumer for patients to ask about the duration of these fillers. We know that certain fillers last much longer than others. The most important part of providing injectable treatments are doing it in a very conservative and natural appearing manner. I don't want someone to be able to tell that a patient's been treated. I don't want someone coming up to a patient we've treated and say, wow, what'd you do to your eyes? Or what'd you do to your cheeks? It should be seamless. Patients should just look youthful. They should look well rested, but it shouldn't be obvious that something happened. And even if there's a dramatic change we're after, we'll try to do that slowly in an incremental manner so no one notices they're being treated.